אוקיי, בעזרת השם, בפרק ט"ז, פסוק ה'. תועבת השם כל גורל לב. Anyone who has ego is an abomination to Hashem. יד ליד לא ינקה, hand to hand, and he doesn't, לא ינקה, he doesn't clean, meaning he doesn't give any discounts. Says the Gaon like this: whoever has gava, whoever has ego, even if it's only in his heart and not in his behavior, he is disgusting and dirty in the eyes of Hashem. So says the Gaon that ego in any form or shape, vadai if it's in a behavior, if it's sensed in a behavior, but even if it's only in his heart, in the heart of a person, that is in the eyes of Hakadosh Baruch Hu toiva, disgusting. It's a rejection. Why? You cannot have someone that has ego. That means that he is self-centered and he thinks he deserves it all. And he is president of every situation and he has to be in charge. He has to be not in charge, but he has to be, imposing his way. And that is in order for him to exist and let everybody else around him know that he exists. That's his only way of interacting. When this is such a behavior, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you and I cannot live in the same ecosystem. It doesn't work. Yes? So if you push yourself to be the forefront and the important, then be the important, and I go. And that is the definition of the to'iva, that being disgusted. Now, that has a major implication, because the pasuk continues and says, "Aval yad liyad lo yinake." It says like this, the Gaon. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, in the beginning, when a person fails to follow the Torah and the mitzvot, tzaddik bechol derachav, he sees everybody as tzaddikim. When comes the time to inflict a punishment because a person did the avera, v'chasid bechol ma'asav, Hakadosh Baruch Hu has rachamim. He's a chassid, and he's not gonna punish based on the code of justice of the Torah. He's gonna have rachamim, and he's gonna water it down and tone it down. He goes lifnim mishurat adin. That's Hashem's behavior de facto. However, when a person behaves with ego, then yad leyad lo yinake. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very careful to pay back based on the code of justice, based on the punishment of the Torah. Lo yinake. He doesn't give any discount. No rachmanut, no chasidut. He doesn't apply his chasidut on such a person. So this is the punishment and the outcome of somebody that is egocentric, even if he is in his it is in its heart. And he doesn't even have to be a behavior. It's enough that in his mishkan, in his own essence, his ego, then he is rejecting HaKadosh Baruch Hu from his own essence. And that's completely irrelevant of the fact that the person will do mitzvot or not do mitzvot. Yes, that's the way that's his behavior. פסוק ו' בחסד ואמת יכופר עוון, וביראת השם סור מרע. With kindness and justice, a sin is forgiven, and with the fear of Hashem, sur mera, a person goes, goes away from the bad. Says the Gaon, when a person does averot and he decides to do teshuvah and he wants to change his behavior, that requires two things. A person has to do teshuvah on the past and kabbalah le'atid, and he has to take upon himself a new behavior, a new code of conduct, and change his way for the future. And that's how he's going to go away. He's going to walk, go away from the Ra. So says Shlomo Melech the following: for the past, Chesed ve'emet yechupar avon. You want to fix your past. You want the averot of the past to be cleaned, and yechupar. It's al yedei Chesed ve'emet. That's done with Chesed and Emet. Chesed is gemilut chasadim, pure Chesed, and Emet is the Torah Kedosha. The Torah is Emet. So when a person learns Torah, teaches Torah, studies Torah, and the person does Gemilut Chasadim, he does Chesed in Mabriot, he does Chesed with people. So this behavior, yes, cleans and wipes out the Averot from the past. And says the Gaon, this is more powerful and more impactful than any sigufim, any ta'aniyot, or any pain affliction that a person will do on himself to try to fix his past. And for the future, that's so the Chesed and the Torah, yes, impacts the past. And for moving forward, Be'irat Hashem Surmera. Says the Gaon, what does it mean Yirat Hashem Surmera? A person has to envision and has to live with the optic that Melech Haaretz Kevodo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees me. Yes, has also in it fear of Onesh. Like what helps the person to go away from the wrong behavior? Vibrant relationship with Hashem, and Hashem is in front of him. He cannot fail. He cannot, it's not possible. So a person about that strong relationship.
Mechila, Rabbi.
That's what he means.
Rabbi, I think you have a.
You keep.
I think you have a weak connection. We keep losing
keep,
you.
Yeah. Okay. So Ezrat Hashem. So through the Yirat Hashem, through the proximity a person develops with Hakadosh Baruch Hu, just to go over the Yirat Hashem Surmera, the person develops sensitivity for Yirat Chet, and also sensitivity and awe for Hakadosh Baruch Hu's greatness. And the person like that lives this way cannot go and just forget that the Akadosh Baruch Hu is present. Yes, I tried to reconnect. Is it better now?
We'll have to just try and let you know as you're speaking, unfortunately.
Right now is okay?
Right now, it's fine, yes.
Okay. Did you hear the end of the pasuk? No. Okay. So again, the first of the beginning of the pasuk, Bechesed ve'emet yechupa avon. That's clear. Yes. Through Gemilut Chasadim and Torah, you can fix the past. Now moving forward, you need Yirat Hashem. What does that mean? So the Gaon explains that the more you develop a strong relationship with Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and you fear Him because of your understanding of the awesomeness of Hashem, the proximity yields and brings out not only Yirat Chet, but also Yirat Tarumemut. So when a person lives this way, he cannot sin. So when is the sin coming? The sin coming when a person loses focus on that and forgets about that. So that's what Shlomo Amlech says, V'yirat Hashem sur mera. The more you have Yirat Hashem, and the less you're going to be exposed to the bad or vulnerable to the bad. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you all the time. And the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you all the time, it reminds you that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with you, and it helps you remind yourself even more that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is by your side. Okay? Pasuk Zain. Pirtzot Hashem darkei ish. When Hashem approves of the way of man, the ways of man, גם אויביו ישלים איתו. Even his enemies end up, okay, doing peace with him. The Gaon learns this pasuk as being a continuation of pasuk Vav. So we've said, yes, that the person has to do teshuvah, yes, on the past, and have yirah for the future, yirat Hashem for the future. But the person can ask himself, because how do you want me to do teshuvah? I'm facing three forces that work against me. What are those three forces? So the Zohar says a person is confronted to the Yetzer Hara, to the Tinok, to the child, and Veisha, and to the woman. These are the three Yetzarim. These are the three forces, sorry, pushing back on a person's desire and effort to grow. And that's what the Gemara says in Masechet Sotah, Yetzer Tinok Veisha, Te'esmol Docha, V'yamin Mekarevet. There are three people, there's three situations where you have to behave a certain way with your Yetzer Hara, with the child, and with the wife. You have to push with the small. You have to push them away with the left, and you have to bring them close to you with your right. That's the Gemara in Masechet Sotah, meaning don't push away too hard, but when you mekarev them, do the extra effort to be mekarev them to the avodat Hashem, yes, with your right, which is a strong hand, with a strong arm. So be mekarev with the right and push with the left. The Yetzer Hara, a child, and the wife. That's the Gemara in Sotah. The Zohar Kadosh says that a person, yes, is confronted to three powers, yes, that are pushing him backwards. Again, the Yetzer, the Tinok, and the Isha. So the Gaon explains. Yetzer Hara, it's pashut. It is the spiritual koach of klipot, of negativity, that fights the kedusha. Naturally, every time a person tries to build kedusha, tries to do mitzvot, there is a dark force that cannot allow this to happen so naturally and so easily. So that's the Yetzer Hara that the Zohar Kadosh is talking about here. Tinok, what is the child that every one of us fights? It's the child that's within us. All the behaviors, all the things that we picked up as children that are still living within us, handicapping us, and holding us back from growing. Whatever those things are, yes, the wrong behaviors, the wrong habits that we pick up as children. Says the Gaon, and this is essentially sitting in what we call the nefesh habehemit, in the animalistic nefesh. Because a person, when he's a child, how does he interact? Through his animalistic nefesh, through his desires, yes, and based on his surrounding, his parents, time, friends, education, whatever, peer pressure, he molds a nature, an animalistic nature. And most people identify themselves through that, and they never change, and they never grow out or snap out of it, unfortunately. But when a person does want to grow and does understand that that's not that's not what defines the person, this animalistic traits, this instinct. So he starts developing what we call the neshama, the da'at, and now he has to fight. He has to fight that koach. That's what Chazal say. Yimei shana, kadam yetzer hara l'yetzer tov. The Ran says in the Drashot that the Yetzer Hara is 13 years older than the Yetzer Tov. Yeah. So that's the Tinok that we fight. That's the child that we fight within us. Isha Ra'a. So here he says something very interesting. He says, Mamash. We're talking about really a woman that's bad. Are we talking about now the wife? He says, the Nefesh HaBehemit, the instinct, has a desire, yes, to arayot. And that desire of arayot is identified by the Zohar as the Isha Ra'ah. And that needs to be fought all the time. And if you feed that Isha Ra'ah, yes, in any way that is against the Torah Kedosha, now you're fighting a koach, right? A koach that's called Isha Ra'ah. And that is the most powerful koach. That is the hardest power to fight back. good. So these are the three kochot that push back the growth of a person. So says Shlomo HaMelech like this. If you ask yourself, how can I do teshuvah? We said in Pasuk Vav, you have to do teshuvah. How can I do teshuvah? I have all these kochot working against me. Yes? It's impossible. Ki birtzot Hashem darkei ish. If you choose the derech Hashem, yes, if you're aligned with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem wants your derech. Hashem enhances and strengthens your derech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is now your shutaf to help you grow in that path. Gam oyevav yashlim ito. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make sure that all these three sources of negativity pushing back at the person's growth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make it that now they are all aligned with the person. And that's what it means, Gam oivav. He says the oivav ze aisha ra'ah. The biggest oyev, the biggest threat and enemy to a man is the isha ra'ah. His instinct, okay, for arayot. So, and since this instinct, yes, come from the nefesh habehemit, so he says he calls it oivav, yes, not only the oyev of the isha, but also everything that's inside the nefesh habehemit. And basof, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doeg that through the siyata dishma, through the alignment with HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure to now influence those three powers, those three sources of negativity, yes, and dilute them to slowly align and do shalom with the person, and end up being used for good. So it becomes, instead of being a source that pushes back, it becomes an asset that the person uses to grow and grow even more. Yes. So again, we're facing those kochot that push us back. Yes. We're pushing those kochot that are trying to grow. We have kochot that hold us back. Yes. The koach of the Yetzer Hara, which is essentially born by the good and the kedusha that we're trying to develop. Because everywhere there's kedusha, there's a counterpart to it. Yes, so that's the natural pushback that we get when we try to grow in Avodat Hashem. And then we have our history, our background, yes, our childhood, and then we have this tendency, this instinct, this desire that is developed through arayot that ends up becoming the most powerful source of negativity pushing back in our growth. Says Shlomo HaMelech, when a person is aligned with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself takes care of these three and aligns them with a person, which is very hard to see and to believe in when the person is in the midst of the fire or is in the eye of the storm when the Yetzer Hara takes over. He cannot see how yes, by not doing Avera right now and burning inside, it will help him, yes, later on. Just can't see it. Yes. So comes Shlomo HaMelech says not only that now you can see it, it's normal. Why? Because on your own you cannot fight him. But by resisting and by doing what you're supposed to, doing the mitzvot and doing teshuvah. And what is the definition of teshuvah? To be tested in the same situation with the same veracity and the same desire. And you overcome the test. That's teshuvah. When you do that type of teshuvah, you trigger a siyata dishmaya, you trigger a help of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that comes and fights these fights for you. That's the hidush here. That's the hidush. You sacrifice yourself for me, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be doeg that I'll fight your fight. Ken?
How do you achieve that level?
What do you mean?
How do you achieve that level that Hashem is fighting your fight?
That's teshuvah.
Just through that
That's pasuk vav. That's pasuk vav. Chesed ve'emet yechupar. Yes. That's how you do teshuvah. Obviously, teshuvah is two things. You have to do teshuvah on the past, and you have to be kabbalah le'atid, right? And how do you fix your past? How do you benefit from the bracha of your teshuvah that you do fixing your past? Through chesed and emet, gemilut chasadim and Torah. I cannot do it after there's too much strength for pushing me back. Because Baruch takes care, don't worry. You align yourself. Virtzot Hashem darkei ish. If your darkei ish, your darachim are aligned with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I take care of the rest. Oivad yesh li mito. Don't worry. I'll make sure that your worst enemies become now your allies. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Pasuk het. Tov me'at b'tzedakah, merov tevuot belo mishpat. You're better off with a little bit with tzedakah than a lot without justice. What does that mean? He says there's a few layers of hidushim in this pasuk. First of all, if a person has a lot of work and he needs employees, and you can choose or somebody that is poor and that needs the job, or somebody that doesn't need the money, that is rich and can also do the job, but he doesn't need the job. Says Shlomo Melech, Tov. You're better off. It's good. Yes. Tov also means shalem. You will see beracha and you will see shlemut. You will see a complete outcome of your work when you give a chance to the poor that needs it. Yes. So tov me'at. Yes. Even though the melacha will be me'at from the poor. Yes. B'tzedakah, and you do tzedakah because you're giving the poor the work, right? Instead of giving it the rich. You're better off, you'll see more beracha there than if you give it to a lot of po'alim, yes, and which is in this case the rich, and the rich will do the job. Meaning, if you can help somebody that needs the job, yes, versus somebody that can do the job and that doesn't need the job, you'll see beracha when you give the someone that really needs versus someone that doesn't need. That's pshat pashut. Okay.
That's pshat pasuk, you said?
Yeah, the pashut. That's the simple pshat. Also in the hashkafa of money, says the Gaon, it's the same thing. Ma kavana. A person is better off to have less money and give his maaser, and at the end give tzedakah, meaning more exceed in what he's supposed to give. That's tov me'at b'tzedakah. You're better off having less, yes, but fulfill your obligations in terms of maaser to the point that now not only you covered maaser, but you're giving tzedakah. than having a lot, velo b'mishpat. Okay? Then not being and having a lot, and now you're mechuyav to give a lot of maaser, but the person doesn't give his maaser when he has a lot. He gives less. Belo mishpat. Then he's going against the halacha. So he's saying like, don't be tested with a lot, because if you're tested with a lot, then you might not you might not fulfill your obligation. Ken? Here, the Gaon is highlighting I think a very important musar of Shlomo HaMelech. People are driven by success. And success is usually defined by quantity. The more you have, the more you're successful. And people, when they're driven by quantity, they forget the responsibility that comes with that quantity. Yeah. And what happens? Their their com, their community responsibility, their sensitivity to the responsibility that they have to the community does not grow with their desire of success. So the responsibility stops growing, but the desire keeps on growing. So what happens? You can have now, because you're invested so much, your desire of growth see fruition happen. So you can actually grow financially, but because your responsibility wise you didn't grow, yes, now there's this part, there's this delta between the two. So now what happens? You're financially responsible, but you're not emotionally responsible, right? So what happens now? Merov tevuot, all that wealth that you came below mishpat. Yes, they're not aligned with the halacha. They're not aligned with the halacha. Yes, why they are not aligned with the halacha? Because the person didn't grow responsibility wise to work, and therefore he doesn't see the need to be responsible. Unfortunately, most people are like that. Most people at one point they stop growing their emotionally they stop growing their responsibility emotionally, and that's why you find people that are financially very successful, and they're not close from giving even their maaser. Forget about the tzedakah, giving their maaser. And you have people that grow, but they don't grow tremendously, yes, and they give even more than what they're supposed to. That's the tov me'at b'tzedakah. Always surpass your commitment to the community over your success, and that's how you create the balance, and you secure that no matter how much you grow, it will always be begeder tov me'at b'tzedakah. Good? Clear? Now, Shlomo HaMelech the Gaon takes that in one step further, and he says the same thing applies to Limud Torah. Learn a little bit b'tzedakah. What do you mean bitzdaka? Learn something that you mastered that you can give over, that you can help Am Yisrael with, and that's better than learning a lot and having a lot of information that you don't master, that you don't know well. Same, and this applies also not only klape chutz, but klape pnim, not only with others, but with yourself. It's better off to learn something that you can internalize and change with and grow from than learning a lot and you're still the same person that doesn't change. You're still filled with all those flaws that you carry from your past or from your behavior. Yeah. So the message at the end that Shlomo HaMelech is addressing is one. Don't be fooled by the quantity. Build yourself from the quality. That's the way you can grow healthy and you can build a real future. And a future that is solid and that can be for a long time. Good? Hello? Yeah? We're good?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to hold here. We've just finished Pasuk Chet. בעזרת השם.
Thank you, Rabbi.
טוב. בהצלחה, בשורות טובות.
Thank you.